We've talked about miracles before. And
we have? What?
We've actually dedicated a whole show to it, but I came across something reading a book that it's called The Miracle of Saint Medard, but it takes a very weird turn for me, and the impression it left with me isn't so miracle-esque, but...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it aliens?
No. It's a little bit more disturbing than that.
More disturbing than aliens.
Yeah, it's just good old-fashioned humans.
In your face, Giorgio.
And some Christians.
I saw that Ancient Aliens episode on miracles, saying miracles were ancient aliens. What do you know?
They just reach for everything towards the end, right?
Everything. It's like, why do your feet smell when it's hot out? Because of aliens. They implanted your DNA with this scent gland so that when they return to Earth, they could smell where you are.
Are the Teletubbies a fun kid show, or are they creatures from another world?
No, it's otherworldly creatures.
There you go. Fuck,
Yeah.
Everybody knows you've got the...
It's the otherworldly, but you can't just say otherworldly. It's otherworldly.
But seeing how we have talked about miracles, we've covered them before. What's your impression on miracles that have actually worked? Because there are a few cases out there that are a little...
What do you mean by actually worked?
Maybe let's just say unexplainable.
Like the dancing sun? Like that? Are we going that extreme, or are we going to go like people saying that they were saved by a guardian angel?
Let's go the guardian angel route. When it has some type of religious connotation behind it.
Well, I don't necessarily think the guardian angel thing has religious connotations unless you, in fact, are religious and you give it the connotation that it is, in fact, proof of a guardian angel. I think that there are things that look out for us and protect us. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're guardian angels. It's just dependent on what sort of background you're giving this being. I don't necessarily think that it's actually a being from heaven that's protecting you, but I think it's something with similar energy that you would ascribe to a heavenly being, a heavenly supernatural being. But I also don't think it's aliens. I'm not going to go the alien route because it's not aliens.
See, that brings me to a question I kind of almost have for myself, or maybe more about me to you, but I've been in situations where I've literally prayed to God for something to happen. And when it happened, and of course this is my younger days, to me it was like an affirmation. I was like, okay, cool. You know, maybe somebody was listening, maybe God was listening, or maybe even go so far to say, is that shit's the truth. That works sometimes. But there's a situation where I was actually shot at. And when I got out of that, I did not go to a miracle or God at all. Why do you think people do that? Now, mind you, at the time, I was very religious. Both times those things happened, when I prayed and then when I was shot at. But I don't know why my mind didn't go like that had to be a miracle. Oh, thank God that I didn't get my head blown off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think people forget to mention God when it's the real deal?
When it's the real deal?
Yeah. Do you think it was like the foreshadowing of my non-believing ways in my older days of life?
Well, maybe your faith wasn't really strong to begin with.
Ooh, dun dun dun! I'm a broken man.
Yeah, but maybe it's because God's not a genie. You don't just say, "Hey, God, I wish blah blah blah," and God's like, "Your wish is granted." You know, God's got other things to do, like keep the universe in order. He, you know, if there is an omnipotent creator being, he's not going to pay attention to you asking for like a passing grade on your test. I guess for a lot of people, it's all based on faith. Like but I don't think it's like if you're doing it correctly, you're not asking for favors. You're asking for guidance, or you're asking for strength to get through a situation. But I think if you're calling on God to ask for favors, then you're going to be very disappointed with the results. God's not going to give you the winning lottery number. And contrary to what The Simpsons may tell you, he will not grant you a snow day in June or whatever that was.
That prayer was never answered when it came to school shit.
Yeah, because, you brought that shit on yourself, man.
I'll probably tell the getting shot at story one day if I haven't already, but I had a bullet whiz past so close to my head that it moved my hair. And even going through something like that, I wasn't like, thank God, I didn't get shot in the face. I didn't even think that. I wasn't even like thanking God for surviving that or not getting shot in the face. That just never crossed my mind. I always found that strange.
You were more like, I've got superpowers, damn it. I deflected that bullet with my superpowered hair, with my luxurious locks.
Yeah.
The bullet was afraid and just whizzed right on by.
But as I said, this is a story I came across in a book I was reading. It's called The Miracles of we'll say Medard, Medard. And
yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, close enough.
Let's go with that.
The people that this story is about are sometimes known as the Convulsionnaires, which will make sense later. But the miracles of Saint Medard took place from 1727 to 1732 in France. But writings state that the Convulsionnaires existed up until the 1940s, believe it or not. But the deacon of France at the time had died, and hundreds of mourners followed his coffin as it made its way to the church of Saint Medard to be buried. And the deacon was beloved, as it was believed by everybody that he was blessed with the powers to heal the sick and wounded. Now, I couldn't find much in the way of writing of miracles that the deacon performed before his death, but shit got really weird after he died.
So he was a miracle ghost?
Maybe. So I wish in the story he came back and was like, I got you, bro, and just started healing people. But
I am the ghost. Witness my miracles. That would be amazing, and I wish that's the way the story went. So you're telling me that's not the way the story went?
No,
This ghost didn't appear and fart miracles.
Nope, just made the whole story
Bullshit.
From here on out.
Let's pick another topic. I'm done with this.
Just made the whole story from here on out more boring.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're sorry, guys. We'll insert something after this that'll be awesome, and it'll blow everybody's mind.
This may do it still. We might not need a ghost.
All right,
a healing ghost.
I'll hold out. I'll keep the faith for now. So continue with your non-ghost story.
All right. As the deacon's body was making its trip to its final destination, most of the crowd continued on walking throughout the city and lamenting and all those things. But a smaller group of people stayed behind to pray for the deacon as he was being buried. And maybe in some nice classic Christian tradition, one man took his crippled son up to the casket of the deacon and instantly started asking for favors. He started praying to the deacon to heal his son's legs. And I guess his son's legs never worked. So as soon as the man was done praying, the boy started to shake and go into convulsions. The boy was rushed inside of the church by about a dozen other mourners and church workers, I guess you can say. But the boy shook and twisted around, and some people say that he twisted in ways that were really, really unnatural. But as soon as he was done twisting around, he jumped to his feet and he started to laugh. He was completely healed. Again, this in front of a good group of people. But this being witnessed by so many people, the word spread around the church and even through the whole town pretty quickly.
And this was immediately following their encountering the dead body and doing the praying?
Mm-hmm. I guess that was the activator. They just had to start praying a little early, start asking him for shit. You gotta let him get in the ground first.
It's like, yeah, dude, my body's still warm. Calm down. Why didn't you pray to me when I was alive?
Yeah.
What the fuck, guy?
But soon after word of this spread, this miracle actually working, the people from all over the city started coming to the deacon's tomb looking for a miracle themselves. For the most part, it worked. And it fucking worked for everybody.
So was it people that prayed to him at a specific location, or just like in general, like you could just chill at home and be like, hey, deacon, I would like a really sweet cup of hot chocolate, please. And then poof, you've got the tastiest, most delicious cup of hot chocolate that ever existed on the face of the planet.
No, you had to be at his tomb at this church of Medard, and it was no hot chocolate was allowed. It was only to heal yourself or
no hot chocolate.
No, that's got to be the saint of hot cocoa, man. Not this deacon. He was the healing bullshit. Dude. He had superpowers for healing, not cocoa.
Well, what if your illness was brought on by lack of hot chocolate?
You know what? It might have worked for that person because, like I said, apparently it worked for everybody else.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, so many people were being cured and having their miracles granted that soon...
What about people that got their like hands and feet and legs or eyes cut off? Would he heal lost limbs?
No, nothing that extreme. But
so only cripples and people that had like a fever.
Yeah, well, we'll get into how the severity of these ailments. But so many people were being cured that a lot of people who were high in stature in the town came to investigate. There were philosophers, lawyers, magistrates. They all went to the church in hopes of trying to witness one of these miracles actually happen. And they did, and better yet, they all took fucking notes. Even the time's greatest philosopher, a dude named David Hume, went and witnessed these miracles happen. But the most detailed accounts come from a magistrate named Louis Bastille Kier de Montegran. I know I'm saying that wrong, but that's not unusual.
But check your French accent.
Here, you say it. Louis Bastille.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We're just going to go with Louis for this guy. But he had a lawyer friend who told him about the miraculous healings. And he wanted to see for himself, and he wanted Louis to go with him. And Louis wasn't interested at first, but his buddy finally convinced him to go. And he went to the church and witnessed so much that he was able to write 2 books about what he saw.
Wow.
What's interesting is that by the time he got around to visiting the church, the place had turned into a weird circus of people doing weird shit to demonstrate these miracles. And this is where a lot of it gets weird. There were dozens of nuns curing people and around the tomb, around the courtyard of the church. And there was even more people there who had been cured. And there was even more people than that more people there willing to show onlookers the power of the Lord through these miracles. So it's become literally quite a circus. There's people who have been cured doing weird shit, and then there's people who are coming just to watch this shit now.
So this all started after this deacon died?
Yes, and literally before the day's end, when this guy knelt down and prayed to the deacon to help his son's crippled legs.
And so that dude's case was the first case, but that like opened the floodgates then.
Yes. Word spread, everybody started coming and praying to the deacon's tomb to heal something. And like I said, it just, almost all of it worked.
And there was no history of this before his death?
No, it was said that's why he was such a famous and beloved deacon, is that he had the powers to do this.
While he was alive?
Mm-hmm. He had the ability to heal people, but I couldn't find any specific cases. I read a little bit outside this book, but this book had quite a bit on it. And they didn't mention him being this cool when he was alive.
He wasn't this cool.
Not the mega healer that he was when he was breathing. But some of the things that Louis wrote down in his book that he saw was a large number of women convulsing and contorting on the ground. And again, some bent so far backwards that their heads touched their feet. There were men who had come to help in these demonstrations. And what he saw was these men viciously beating young women with large pieces of wood and iron.
Wow.
Some women had heavy weights put on them as they laid on the ground. And each one of these weights equaled 100 pounds. And he said he saw women with up to 6 weights on them.
So they're being pressed like witches.
Mm-hmm. And of course, to no odd effect. These women weren't being hurt at all.
They were Wonder Women.
Yeah. One lady was laying on the ground, topless, just like a good church-going woman should, while a man had a pair of iron tongs, and he tried his best to rip her nipples off with these iron tongs.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said that the lady just sat there and laughed while he started giving her the purple nurple with his iron things.
That's some shit right there. Not going to be tweaking that broad's nipples, that's for sure.
Yeah, you just destroyed the fun for the rest of us, you jerk.
Like, oh, shit, I broke my tongs.
You start dating her, stick your hand up her shirt with her permission, of course, and she's like, I'm not getting nothing. You're going to need to get some pliers.
Like, no. I'm going to need some vice grips. That's nothing less, please.
This one's my personal favorite of what he wrote down. There was one woman who sat at a table. And now I got to explain that he did a lot of work in his writings. He interviewed this lady, and this woman was said to be, let's just say, a paranoid schizophrenic. She was extremely germophobic. She wouldn't eat food. She was near death and starving when she first went to the church because she was scared of the germs in her food.
Are you sure she wasn't possessed, Mateo?
Well, I don't know. With what she does next, she might as well have been, but to demonstrate that she had been cured of this type of ailment, and it being a mental one, I should add, because that's interesting to note, she sat at a table and would eat plate after plate of human dew and would wash it down with pitchers of piss.
I'm sure her breath smelled lovely.
No, maybe that was part of the deal of the miracle. He's like, you can eat that poo and I'll save your breath.
Yeah. It'll be minty fresh poo.
Well, as we all know, eating poo is probably not the healthiest thing you can do.
No, probably not. I mean,
but this guy witnessed all this, and he said that after she would eat, she would throw up all the poo-poo and pee-pee that she drank.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think that's the reaction most people would have.
No, she wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, what I just did is nasty and boot. She would have to stick her finger down her throat. But what she would throw up appeared to be milk.
What?
And this guy collected some of it and took it to a scientist friend of his, and it was tested and was, in fact, milk.
What type of animal's milk?
Cow's milk.
It was cow's milk.
Mm-hmm.
So she ate excrement and then washed it down with urine.
Caca poo poo pee pee doo doo.
Yeah. And then she pukes up milk.
Yes. So supposedly tested by a doctor.
Did people drink this milk?
No. This guy said that he collected a small vial of it because he
a wimp. Take a sip, you pussy.
Funny enough, when I was doing the research for this, I was telling my wife about it, and my youngest would go, it'd be a miracle if he ate that milk that lady threw. She's all, then I'd be impressed.
I agree with her. Yeah, I would be impressed too. Good. I'd give him a high five, like retroactively.
Oh, man. Oh, another thing that he mentioned that he saw while visiting the church and witnessing these things were the people I lovingly call the pus lickers. And these...
Oh, my God. What? So I was teased with a spooky ghost miracle story, and now we're resorting to people eating shit and licking pus.
Yeah, but they're not just eating shit. I mean, there's
like, can we decide what sort of episode we're gonna be here?
Told you it's gonna be a goofy one, man.
I feel like this show is like indicative of us as a podcast. Just a bunch of shit eating, pus licking, sorry ass motherfuckers with hard nipples.
Indestructible hard nipples.
Indestructible diamond tits.
I'll take it. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Listen to the Whatcast. It's not that good, but they've got diamonds for tits.
Yeah. And you know, how can you go wrong with diamond tits?
Again, does nothing to help the show, but we got them.
Yeah, they shine like the sun.
Oh, But what these pus lickers would do would tend to all the people who were inflicted with sores or infections. He wrote down he saw people who had sores that were so far gone that their bones were exposed. And he also mentioned the smell after they would unwrap the bandages from these sore-covered areas. And he mentioned that even the people who were there to lick these pus holes would throw up.
But why were they there to lick these pus holes?
I don't know. See, and that's what gripped me about this whole situation.
Like it's just like, duh, we got the pus lickers, just send them in. But why? Why do you lick the pus? Because we're pus lickers. But why are you pus lickers? Because we lick the pus. And on and on and on. But why? I want to get to the bottom of this. Why are you licking pus?
Like I said, that's what got me about this whole thing. Is that, well, these people were, let's say whatever, being blessed with, or for whatever reason, a lot of these miracles were working. These cures were happening. Like that one little kid in the beginning who started to walk, that happened 1,000 fucking times. There were 100 cripples that were, sorry, I don't mean to be offensive, but, in the writing it says there were hundreds of cripples that were cured by praying to this, just church, and some of the nuns that would work there and some of the hardcore churchgoers were able to perform these miracles, by praying to this tomb of the deacon. But why did they have to get so fucking weird with it? Who said, I'm going to lick that fucking pus hole on that dude's leg and I'm going to fucking fix it? How do you get miracles from God or a blessed person to the madness of putting 600 pounds of weight on a woman?
Yeah, it's extremely bizarre. But then again, have you ever seen some of the feats that the Shaolin monks have been able to perform?
I have, and when I was younger and studying and all this stuff, we've all seen the pictures of the monks praying with their legs crossed, looking ultra happy, but they're 10 feet off the ground. It just seemed like everything I read about that was like, this is bullshit. I was like, well, then why do you have that photo?
I've literally seen them perform before. I saw this dude. They demonstrated everything that they had the spear, and to demonstrate the spear, they stabbed it into the ground and let it go, and it stuck into the ground. So then he takes the blunt end, puts the blunt end against the ground, takes the hard end and puts it against his throat and leans into it. And then as he's leaning, they start applying these cement bricks to his back. I think they stack 2 or 3 of them onto his back while he's leaning with this spear in his throat. And then they smash those bricks, or those cement blocks, with hammers. And then afterwards he stands up and he doesn't even have a wound.
Huh. Now, would you consider that a miracle?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is that a miracle, or is that just done through intense training and focus? But where do you draw the line between what would be considered a miracle or not? Like, if you prayed to God for spears not to pierce you and that happened, would that be a miracle? Like, would you consider that a miracle at that point? But because they're not praying to the Christian God, it's not a miracle?
That's a good point. Especially if we're asking these people from the 1700s, well, what about these guys? They could do that. That's a good point.
I've seen them stand on, they line up these swords edgewise, and they'll like chop through shit before they lay them down, so you can see that they're actually sharp. And they lay them edgewise, facing up. Then they stand on them and start applying weights. They stand on them barefoot and start applying weights to them. And then they get off, no cuts on their feet.
That's weird because we know, the monks train with their martial arts and stuff like that, and meditation. We all know that how powerful meditation can be, and a lot of people might say that's mind over matter. But how do you do that? That's got to be something different than, or maybe even beyond physical training. It's not like if you stand on a fucking razor blade a lot, your feet are going to get used to it. If you're going to stand on the edge of a sword with weight in your hands, it's going to cut your feet. It's physics.
Yeah. It's just, it's the way things work, But yeah, that's some crazy, crazy stuff. It's not things that any normal person could do. But then you look at the people, just the ordinary, everyday people that are able to walk across coals without burning their feet because of belief. They believe they can do it.
I've seen plenty of fail videos of that, though.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of fail videos, but there's also plenty of videos showing people being successful. And that's why I say it's all belief. Like the people that ran across it expecting to burn their feet, and so they burn their feet. But you pour enough faith into something, and you can. It's if you look into like the occult magic schools, like the Hermetic Order and the Aleister Crowley stuff, things like that. It's all your intent is what shapes your reality. So if you're able to put enough focus into something and belief, you are able to affect your own reality. So you believe hard enough that these coals aren't going to burn your feet, and you walk across those coals and you're fine. But the second you have any moment of doubt, you're going to get burned.
There's got to be some tricks with physics to some of that stuff.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is really just force of will and faith and intent.
I remember being a kid and seeing, like at a circus, a guy lay down on a bed of nails and then them place another bed of nails on top and having people stand on it. And I remember being blown away by that. My dad just looked at me and said, "Hey, try doing that with one nail."
Yeah, that's the thing. That is physics. That's pure physics, and it's just distribution of weight.
Did you see anything like that with monks?
No. I saw crazy shit like I described.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't pull any watch me lay on a bed of nails bullshit. They're like, watch me stand barefoot on the edge of the sword and apply weights to my back and let me like when he was leaning into that spear in his throat, the spear was bending. Like that's rather than going through the soft part of his throat, the spear shaft itself bent.
Wow.
And like I said, he demonstrated beforehand that it was an actual spear. He stabbed the floor, let it go, and it... Brrr.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wish these people at this church decided to do cool stuff like that instead of eating poo-poo and pee-pee. And let's get back to the pus lickers.
Oh, do we have to get back to the pus lickers?
Yes, just because of what this guy says.
All right. Okay.
He would, bone was exposed. He would talk about bugs being present. He said it smelled so bad that even the pus lickers themselves would throw up. But what they would do...
Would they throw up milk? Or was it just regular puke?
Well, see, they would lick these nasty pus holes. And he said that they would wipe it away after that. And they would be normal skin. And he said that these...
After they puked?
Yes. And he said that sometimes they would throw up milk.
So they also threw up milk, but this was magic healing milk.
Maybe. I don't know, but he said that their pus would, not make them sick themselves or throw up or anything like that. But again, they would make themselves throw up to show what the pus had turned into. But they would, he said, I saw this, and, he wrote 2 books about this. He's like, dude, they licked a fucking pus hole and it was fucking healed, gone. New skin, everything, like a movie. But one of the most famous demonstrations that happened in this church, or outside of it, I guess, was what I call the girl with the shovels. And when he said in his writings that when she showed up, you can tell she was kind of like a celebrity. He knew that something good was about to happen.
Oh shit, it's the shovel girl.
Yeah. She would take her top off and lay on the ground. And he said that there was 4 dudes who would come up to her with shovels. He said they would sit there and bash her head in with the shovels. And he said they were doing everything they could to kill her, and they did more than enough to kill her. But she wouldn't even bleed. He said all the whole time she was laughing. So after that, they would turn the shovels sideways and try to hack off her arms and her legs. And again, he said there wouldn't even be marks on her skin. And I don't know if it's 17th century Christians having a big problem with titties, but he said that they would smash 2 shovels together and try their best to cut her breasts off, and then nothing would happen.
So she was also gifted with the diamond titties.
Yep. And
so at this point, it sounds like it's not just titties; it's the skin in general.
Maybe because the finale for this act was to pick up a 50-pound rock, climb a 7-foot ladder onto a platform and drop it on her head. And when they would do that,
And
she
it
would
just bounced off.
Yep, she would sit up and laugh.
Thunk.
And he said he investigated many of the rocks they used for this procedure.
bitches?
But he said he investigated the rocks that they would use to drop onto her fucking head, and he said they were.
Isn't this weird to you, especially being in, you said the 1700s?
Yes.
So doesn't this seem like in any other circumstances, the woman would be considered a witch?
That's something I wanted to point out as well, because that's these people in celebration of these miracles coming true or whatever, they start doing some witch trial shit to themselves. It was the weirdest thing to sit there and read. There's more stuff in my book that they talk about what he saw, but it's just, how do you get to this point? I mean, as a church, should you just start charging motherfuckers? Why would you create a fucking group of people outside doing horrible, horrible shit to each other? It just seems like a far deep dive into some fanaticism shit.
Maybe it was looked at as being, they had to do this really gross stuff as like an exchange, like for something good. They had to take in the bad, and out of the bad came the good.
Well, maybe
the eating the shit was symbolic of the life of sin, and then when you puke, it's expelling all the evil or whatever out of your body, and then once you're able to expel that, that's when you can take in the good.
I don't know, man.
Because you've purged yourself of the evil. Because it's interesting that all these people, after the gross stuff, they puke.
Maybe it has something to do with it. But even if I was a church-going dude and I went to go check this out, and even back then, I think one dude had to go, well, why does God want you to eat that doo-doo? Like, why is this the way to show God's power? But
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't think of any situation where I would think it was okay to eat shit.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
It's just the way that these people handled the ability to actually, I don't know, have a miracle happen. Maybe is just odd.
Like if God himself came down and was like, "Hey, I'm God, eat shit," and they'd be like, "No, I want a different one, please. I will take a different God, the kind of God that won't make me eat poop."
Can you imagine that, dude? You just get this message from the sky.
It's like a schoolyard bully, like, "Hey, you there, eat shit." Like, but I don't want to eat shit. That sounds gross.
Yeah. Who let this girl set up this little poop eating station?
Yeah.
Imagine her just sitting there being a fucking psychopath, not even eating food because she's scared of the germs, and having her sit there and go, guys, an angel of God came to me and said to prove these miracles are happening, gotta eat some shit. Who went, oh, good idea, dude. Set up a table over here. How about we all save our shit? We'll have Mary eat it. And then we can piss in a wine jug and she'll drink that too. It almost seems like some of these people were fucking crazy right off the bat. Just from the shit, pus lickers. Who said, let's lick it?
Yeah. It looks like cream. Let's lick it. That's not cream.
Well, when the magistrate, this Louis, completed his 2 books, he took him straight to the King of France. Because maybe, obviously this shit was going on, but not too many people liked it. And I guess the king didn't like it because he had poor Louis thrown in jail for lying.
Oh, Louis. Come on, man.
You did what you could, buddy.
You got to be better than that.
Well, Louis was a headstrong fella. He remained in jail for 2 years, all on the account of him not rebuking his claims that he wrote in his book.
Did he eat any dookie while he was in there?
Nope, he did not take a part in any miracle goings on. He just reported what he saw going on around this church.
Oh, Louis should have ate the poop.
Yeah,
could have gotten out of there. By this poop, I will escape.
Even if I didn't believe in the miracles or they weren't working for me, I would have took a spoonful of shit just to get out of jail. I've been like, check it out. I'll be good.
Like I said previous, there's no situation where I will think eating poop is a good idea. Like I said, Even if I could eat poop and then puke onto a wall that created a magical door to the greatest place on earth, I would say, no, sir. I will sit right here and serve my sentence like a wild.
I don't know. 17th century jail. I think I would have taken a spoonful of dookie, chomp that down.
Yeah,
and be like,
but again,
I'm good.
this is 17th century. You don't know what's in that dookie. You
Or
could
do
get
we?
dysentery.
Well, I'm sure you get dysentery if you eat your own poopy now.
Only if you have the dysentery amoebas in your poopy.
Gotta eat some probiotics before you eat your poopy.
Yeah.
It'll be all good.
Yeah, you just gotta fight that shit off before it even happens. Prep the body. Be like, body, we're eating some dysentery shit right now, so please prepare yourself to, not shit till you die. Well, I mean, how many people, like, you've played the Oregon Trail, you can die of dysentery.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in all honesty, eating shit, the stuff that can happen to you, you can be dead pretty fucking
hepatitis.
quick. Yeah. Bacterial, just all the bacterial, you can get fucking, septic and just fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Could you imagine farting after you ate poop?
Or burping after you eat poop?
Yeah.
Would there really be a difference, though?
Not at that point, but,
Guys, if there's one thing you can glean from this episode, it's don't eat fecal matter.
No matter how blessed you think you are or how many miracles are going around,
you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
And I know there's probably one of you sick fucks that's a fecophiliac. And
who's listening to this with a plate of poo-poo in front of them?
Probably, or with his dick in a plate of poo-poo. Either way, just that's unhealthy. All right, unless you're getting it tested. If you're getting it tested and you know it's healthy poop, then I guess have fun, but don't try to share it with any of us, please. We don't want it.
I don't think there's any healthy poop, man. I don't think there's any sample you can take to a doctor and he'll say, "Yeah, you can chew on that for a while."
You know what? This is a good piece of shit right here. You can mow on that. Just give it a little chew. I bet vegetarian shit isn't that bad as far as shit goes.
The doc's like, "You go ahead and eat this. I'm going to watch you for a couple of days."
They've been eating cruciferous vegetables for the past week. You're fine. It's like eating cow shit. It's going to be gross. It's not something you want to do, but it could be worse.
Yeah.
You could get herpes shit.
Herpes shit. Ooh. Internal lower intestinal herpes.
Yeah. For those internal digestive system herpes.
Oh.
It's very rare, but when you get it, oh boy, your colon will never be the same.
Yikes.
God, how far did we go in this episode?
This was going to be a fun one.
We start with miracles, and we're talking about internal digestive herpes.
Herpes lining your small intestine.
It all started with the eating shit talk. It's you can't bring that sort of thing up and expect things to go seriously from then on. I'm sorry. And then you throw in pus lickers. Like we're like one guy in drag away from a Monty Python sketch, I feel.
Well, back to the story. Poor Louis sat in jail for 2 years, but reports of shit going down at this church picked up some...
Oh, shit going down? Like you're eating it and you swallow it? All right, I'll stop.
These reports made their way back to the king all on their own without Louis's book. So once the king heard enough stories, he released poor Louis. And Louis went back to the church and witnessed so much more shit that he was able to write 2 more books on these doo-doo eating, pus-licking weirdos doing shit at this church. And a lot of other people, word spread, he published his books and they went around. So a lot of people were able to go and watch this shit and reported a lot of the same stuff. But after, I think it was by... in 1759, a scientist named La Kamadamani went to see all this shit going on at the church.
Could you please repeat that?
La Condamini went and saw much of the same shit going on at this church. But he says there was also crucifixions going on by this time, and they were all bloodless. So
what?
Yes. And when the king heard about bloodless crucifixions, he had that shit shut down.
That's fucked up. Like when you say bloodless, like there, because there was two different ways of crucifixion. Like you could, or crucifixion. You could pound the nails in, but then they had the one where they would just tie your arms and you would die of asphyxiation.
These were all the late 90s techno metal version. These were all 9 Inch Nails. Boom, boom.
Oh.
We're on a roll tonight, guys. Fuck yeah.
We're losing all of our listeners tonight. There's going to be like one guy stationed in Antarctica, and he'll be the last one listening. And then he'll be like the most diehard of all fans, but then he'll get eaten by some weird alien species that
we've probably warned him about.
Yeah. He's probably like, oh, these guys, they don't know what they're talking about. I live in Antarctica and there's no, and he gets ripped in half.
But that's where the story pretty much ends. There's rumors and writings of small sects of these convulsionnaires existing into the 1940s, like I had mentioned, and them perform. I guess this is where, I don't know, let's say fucking the snake handlers kind of branched off from. Just doing weird, crazy, dangerous shit to prove that God's watching their backs and they're not going to be harmed.
That was a thing among monks as well. They would do the self-flagellation where they would whip themselves and wear the hair shirt so that they could never get comfortable.
A hair shirt? What the fuck is a hair shirt?
Yeah, they would take it. I don't remember what kind of hair they would take, but they would put it on the inside of a shirt so that it would irritate the skin. So that they could never get comfortable. Like it was constantly itchy and would chafe the skin. And then they would use like sometimes a cat o' nine tails type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they would whip themselves. Sometimes they would take like a thistle, like a big bundle of thistles, and smash themselves with it.
Well, shit, I wonder if I can take a bowl full of poo-poo because I'm part Spanish and Portuguese, so I constantly have on a fucking hair shirt.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! More home run jokes, guys.
Zing-a-ding-ding.
Oh, but that's pretty much where that story ended. It was so bizarre to me to see how quickly things got really fucking freaky. I mean, the king was not...
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yes. And again... if these things were reported, not just by this dude, he just wrote, I think it was a total of 4 or 5 books on what he saw. So there's very well documented. There's plenty of other people who wrote about it. But why wasn't the king cool with such hardcore demonstrations of the proof of God's power? Why did he have to go in the end, the whole fucking these people are witches route and shut him down and move the body? And
because it was magical powers. And magical powers, as everybody knows, is the devil's playground. Even though it's kind of weird, because if you're looking at magic, like what else would a miracle be? It's certainly not an act of science. So
very true.
It's magic. For all intents and purposes, miracles equal magic. And I'm not talking like bullshit stage magic like David Copperfield and that type of stuff. I'm talking legitimate Gandalf magic.
That's very true. I mean, that's the only thing it could be. That's basically what a miracle is, right? It's God's magic, good magic, maybe, but more or less.
Yeah, but you can't call it magic though. Like I don't know, you just call it God's power. But what is God's power if not magic?
Exactly. I mean,
it's supernatural.
I wonder how things went for the king when he decided to shut this down. I mean, was it like a political type thing where? Like, this is too much a vulgar display of power. We got to shut this shit down because if there's good magic like this, it kind of means there's got to be bad magic, right? How political was the idea of shutting it down?
I think it was more just the idea, because the idea even now is, among Christians is that magic is evil. And if you look into magic or practice magic, you're looking into the devil's work. But any miracles that happen would be magic. So if a miracle happens through someone and grants somebody the power to do this, you kind of create a little bit of a conundrum there, like because they're performing magical things, but is it bestowed by God or the devil at this point?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think they got a little weirded out by that shit actually happening. I mean, that's another question I have for you. Are you buying this? I mean, this is a lot of documentation written by, like I said, doctors, lawyers, magistrates, police officers.
To me, it could be explained as, and I hate to sound like Joe Nickel again, but it sounds to me like it could be religious fanaticism mixed with a group delusion.
Really? Because this, I don't know, this isn't people seeing a giant alligator and saying they saw a dragon.
No, but like a mass hysteria type deal. And you don't need to have people saying that they were seeing the Mothman in order for it to be mass hysteria. You spread the word that this place can heal the sick. And then you've got people that are already faithful Christians that are going there, believing that the power of God himself, their God, creator of all things, being of eternal light and love, is bestowing his power upon his faithful through this tomb. So people are all going to flock there expecting a miracle. And I think in a lot of cases, they are seeing what they want to see and experiencing what they want to experience. And like I was saying earlier, group intention is a hell of a, well, I mean, just intention and force of will in general is a powerful thing. But when you have a group sharing this belief and sharing this intent, I think it becomes all the more powerful.
Totally. I mean, imagine in the beginning when they've only had 5 miracles under their belt that they've witnessed or were able to produce, and a 6th person comes up and it doesn't work, they're going to lie so they're not the fucking odd man out.
Yeah, like, why didn't God choose me?
Exactly.
Why am I not good enough for God? So then they come out being like, you know what? My stomach ulcer is feeling fine.
They bleed out next time they take it down. Yeah, who knows how many times that happened. I mean, that has to be a factor, right?
I would think so, yeah. Especially if you're faithful and you believe that sort of thing.
Well, what about the heavier shit? You know, dropping a 50-pound boulder on this girl's head. I mean, like you said, she was a celebrity. It almost seems like these people had a fucking schedule they kept of who's performing when. Because he said that everybody knew this girl.
Like I was saying, the monks, they were able to do some wacky shit, man. Like just YouTube Shaolin monks and just see all the crazy stuff. Or there's this Indian variety show where these guys, the Goja warriors, come out and they literally bite into light bulbs and don't cut their mouth. How is that possible? And they do it. This one guy has a car run over his head.
No shit.
Yeah, they set up a ramp and the car drives right over his head and he's fine. So, I mean, if you can have a car drive over your head, I think you can survive boulders going over your head or smashing under your head, you know? It's something people are able to do. It's force of will and faith that you can do it. And otherwise, every single person that displays this ability is producing a miracle, whether they are Christian or not. And so why, if this is the act of God, why would God choose non-faithful to display his power through without getting any credit for doing so? It doesn't make sense. So it's got to be something that can be trained or taught.
I wish we could have asked these people that were doing this weird shit at this St. Medard church. I mean, I wonder if you told them about that and they just said, like, well, can they eat poo, though?
Can they eat poo? There is a this kind of fringe, I can't remember if it's Buddhist or Hindu, but they're this fringe group that do go and they'll eat human excrement.
Really?
And, yeah.
Well, we should look this up. I want to know the names of these cats.
All right, hold on one second. I'll find it.
The Poo Eaters of India.
Let me pull up my internet.
The Poop Eaters. Let's see what that brings up. Dung beetles. All right.
No, I'm not going to look up poop eaters because I don't want some websites that aren't on the up and up to come up. That's the last thing I want, is to be labeled a fecophiliac. I can only imagine the ads that would pop up. Probably a lot of Preparation H and toilet paper ads, things like no, I do not have an obsession with shit. Monks that eat poop.
What I got here is people also ask, how do I stop my dog from eating poop? Do all flies eat poop? Do elephants eat each other's poop? What kind of animal eats dog poop?
My neighbor's dog eats my dog poop all the time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's my dog
God.
will take a dump. That dog will run over and take a few nibbles off it.
Oh, fuck. These dogs are blessed.
I found it.
All right.
So it's the Aghori, Aghori. They're these monks in India that have been exiled from regular society, but they feast on the flesh of the dead and human excrement.
For what purpose? Just to show how bad they are, or?
I think it's like a sign of their strength, like their faith, that they're that disciplined that they're able to eat these toxic things without becoming sick. But they believe that the body is an inconsequential thing. So it's like the body doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, and for that reason they surround themselves. Commonly they'll be living around cemeteries, and they feel like that's symbolic of death and decay, which shows them how meaningless the human body actually is.
So living around the dead is kind of like a feat to them. They're like, look, we don't care.
Well, it's kind of like a reminder that your body doesn't mean anything. In the end, you're going to end up here dead. Just like everybody else, your body's going to rot.
Eating poop or no, this is where you're going.
Yeah, but they do use this concoction that's a mixture of marijuana and alcohol to help them meditate and disconnect from reality. And they feel that it brings them closer to Shiva. So they're Hindu.
I do that all the time.
I just don't eat shit in dead bodies.
Yeah, I skipped that part.
You're doing it wrong, Mateo.
Yep, that's probably why I'm not blessed with crystal titties just yet.
Maybe when you're older.
That's weird to hear about another sect of religion and poop eating being the same sentence. That's an odd way to express your faith, I guess. That's the best way to put it.
I would agree. And maybe it's just a bunch of fecophiliacs that just want an excuse to be able to eat shit in peace. Like, hey, man, it's my religious belief. I can eat shit if I want to.
Oh, that's terrible. Just think about like all the weird poop eaters scat videos. I wonder if those people all have to go to the doctor afterwards and get some type of like antibiotic. Right?
Yeah, like there's got to be some precautions taken there.
Yeah.
You can't just like, no. All right. Enough of that.
What if all these poop eating porn stars are made to throw up the poop they ate, and it
becomes milk?
They send it to the Christian churches in France where they eat that up and barf up the milk.
No, because if it came from a porn, then it would be unholy poop.
Sinful poop, you're right.
If you eat the sinful poop, you become the sin. And then you will eat poop for pleasure and not for God.
That's right.
You don't want to be one of those sinful poop eaters. You want to be a nice holy poop eater, nice wholesome poop eater. Maybe you'll lick a little pus on the side. Just for a little variety, but it's still for God. It's not for pleasure.
Yeah, nobody's filming it and beating off to their poop eating videos.
No, that you know of anyway.
But like I said, maybe it's not so much miracleism as fucking religious fanaticism. That's because it's just a weird story I came across in one of the new books I grabbed. It's full of tons of different stories. And like I was sharing with you, Mike, I've been going pretty ham on reading books and buying books just for looking close for cool stuff to find. And I was just digging through this book. It's Bigfoot, King Arthur, poo eaters. I was like, what the fuck? I'd never heard of this. And you can actually go on Wikipedia and they have an article on the Convulsionnaires, and they don't go so much into a lot of the details that I go into. And I'll put a link for this book, or a picture of it, so you can see which one it is, and maybe you can find it. But holy shit, what an odd story. No pun intended.
I don't know. I thought it was shitty. Oh.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.